Hi guys, and welcome to this video number 4 on Cloudy Dynamic Support and Resistance, my flagship indicator that is currently in early access, and you can get free access to this one by simply joining my Discord and writing me a personal message with your TradingView username. The early access will run for a few weeks, and after this, Cloudy will become a premium indicator available to stream and community supporters. So I want to explain this video. I'm going to explain how I personally set up Cloudy and what indicator composition I use to trade, how I do find my trade setups, and yeah, how I do all this stuff to get going, because I think this is important to know, and it might help you to approach this a little bit better, because Cloudy is a complex indicator. I completely understand if it feels overwhelming at first with all the settings and the TA stuff. It's not as easy as trading levels and trend lines and such, but it will be worth it to get into this, to spend the time and effort to learn this, because this is an adaptive indicator. It can become a powerful tool in any possible market environment. And if you really master this one, you will have really fun time trading. Okay, so this is the 30-minute chart on Bitcoin. This is right now, as you can see, our current run we have. And here we already see that Bitcoin has met with resistance that is starting to go horizontal, which is a sign that we might be at a top. It rejected there. It went to this support cloud and found support there, and it's now attempting to bounce. But it also made a lower low here. This is very interesting price action. It looks a bit like distribution. If you look at this from a pattern angle, you see we are making this broadening wedge. It's currently being retested from below, so it could reject here and continue lower. It could also go back in, make this a failed breakout, and go higher and approach this resistance cloud again. So there are a lot of scenarios you can come up with at the moment. So how would I find a proper trade setup here? First of all, the first thing I'm looking at is the trend. It's the most important concept when you want to trade with Cloudy, because trend tells you how likely it is for support and resistance to hold, to actually do what you expect it to do. What you want to see is support holding price up and producing a bounce or reversal. You also want to see resistance rejecting price, sending it lower. And trend can invalidate this expectation. So when we look at this trend, this current 30-minute local trend, it is a rather strong uptrend. We see these strong candles here, pump candles. We started with a moderate incline, but it became sharper. It's now starting to distribute a little bit, so we see this kind of pattern evolving here. So the trend is still up, and the momentum is rather strong, but it is currently losing strength here in this region. So what we could see is some kind of top forming here in this head and shoulder-like structure, for example. So this is a possibility we have to keep in mind. This is what the trend is telling us at the moment. The trend also tells us, when we look at, when we zoom out a bit, that we are in a major sideways range. This is a major sideways range, MTF sideways range, and on the higher time frames, we are still in a downtrend. So we have a higher time frame downtrend, we have a medium time frame sideways trend, and we have a lower time frame uptrend. This doesn't make it very easy for us to estimate how the forces act on price right now. We also have to consider that we are still in a bull market run. So we are still at 36,000 here, and we are coming from 11,000 or something. So we are still in this trend as well. All of this tells us that this entire range could be a little choppy. We have downside forces, we have upside forces. All of this is mixed. This is something that we simply keep in mind, and we expect choppy price action. The second thing we're looking at is price action itself. Not the trend, but the price action we see, the candles, the swing highs and lows, the lower highs, higher lows, lower lows, the patterns, whatever comes to mind, whatever is recognizable in the market right now. So I'm going to look at some levels here. First of all, our major resistance level is probably around here. Maybe this one. There are several levels you can point out. This, and we have this. So these are the three most important levels, I would say, that we have to break as resistance in order to invalidate this head and shoulder structure here, and to get back to the highs, where we have a chance at breaking higher. However, as you can see, the dynamic resistance is just waiting up there to send price back below these resistance levels. This is very important for us to see. Then we have trend lines, of course. We can look at this trend line, for example. It already got violated a bit, but it's still a trend line. It shouldn't be too important to us because it's rising very fast. But we certainly have other trend lines. We have this one. And yeah, price is currently trying to reclaim it, which is a bullish sign. We have a failed breakout to the support zone. This looks pretty good. Then we have some kind of trend line over here. Violated quite a bit. Not that important. And let's see. Let's take this one. It's also very interesting. We broke it. We produced a failed breakout, fell back below, and now we could retest this and confirm it as resistance. This could be the neckline we are looking at right now on this structure here. Okay, then we are in this kind of distributive pattern here. We see the sharp sell-offs. This is a reason for concern. It could send price lower here to the 35K level, for example. This would make sense because we have this swing low over here, and if I draw a level here, it matches perfectly with this value range, and it would be a proper target for us to go down here. So I will keep this level on the chart for now. Okay, so now we do have a good understanding of trend. We have an understanding of price action, at least superficially. And now I want to have an understanding of dynamic support and resistance. And for this, I use Cloudy. And as you can see, we are currently in a sideways channel over here. This is a sideways channel. What I'm going to do here is to change the settings a bit. First of all, the length increment, I'm going to increase this by 50%. And you see I'm setting this to 15 instead of 10, which means that now more time frames, or the length of the Bollinger Bands that are being used to find dynamic support and resistance areas are now more distance from them from each other in terms of time. This is the increment. And what I'm going to do as well is to put an offset in to smoothen this entire support and resistance. I'm using an offset of 10, not too much. I'm also going to increase the tolerance a bit to make the clouds more visible. I'm setting this to 0.6. Let's see what happens. Okay, here we go. I will check the settings with this range. Here you can see that it was choppy as hell, but it looks pretty cool here. You can see we found resistance. The support areas were outlined very well. Resistance, support, resistance, support. We didn't dig too deep into this. Pressure zone, breakout, found a bottom at this range here, met with resistance, retraced, and then started uptrend after this inverse head and shoulder pattern. And this uptrend violated resistance quite a bit over here. And now it is becoming stronger in this area, and support is forming in this area. So this makes perfect sense, and this is tradable. I think this is pretty cool. Yeah, as you can see, this support is not that strong right now. It is currently growing, but it will take some time for this to become strong. So what I expect is we could see a move further down into this support range, and the support will be pressed down, and the support that is currently coming up here will merge with this, and it will become stronger as price is coming closer to our target based on this swing low retest, and after this rejection, especially after we made this lower low over here and this distributive pattern. So it would actually fit in terms of measured move as well, that we will go here. This setup, or this trade idea is taking shape here, and it certainly makes sense. So now we want to see, we are still in a strong uptrend, so it doesn't necessarily mean we will go back down here because this trend is up. But as this is a bearish development here, I expect this move. If we don't get it, too bad, then we don't get our entry. But for now, I expect a bearish development, and I expect this range to hold. And if not, of course, this invalidates our long idea here at this moment, because then we will have probably this kind of move, crab leg. It's certainly possible at the moment because the markets are very uncertain. However, for now, I expect this to hold. My idea is to long this. So from cloudy, I expect this to be dragged down to this level, merging with the support that is coming up here. Let me visualize this for you. These are the streams, and they are drawing into to the area of price action very fast because they are low time frame bands. So yeah, it will take some time. As you can see, some bands are rising here already. These are the bands that will meet here, and these will probably join later. So the more time price remains in this area and accumulates, the more support will arrive in this area and make price maybe attempt to do a second leg higher. Now, right here, there's nothing we can't place any orders here right now because we don't know how this will play out. If this goes vertical down, it will break the support already, and it might even break this support. So this might become very dangerous at this point. I want to see how this plays out first before I place any orders, and I want to see how these clouds develop. The idea is to place along somewhere close to this level, maybe a little higher, because the support is starting here already, the dynamic one. And the target range, the first target would be at maybe this level over here. You can see this is a very crucial level. So I would take profits here. I would take profits in this range, maybe here, because this is also a very crucial level. Let me get rid of the red ones. And the third profit target could be in this resistance range over here, where the resistance clouds are gathering. And we have to expect these to come back down. The longer Bitcoin takes, they will come down and gather in this area. So yeah, this is probably the area to get out and maybe even short this. If this is rolling over, then this would be the play. Of course, it could continue higher. It could bounce here and continue higher. This is a possibility, but for now, all I want to do is to take this range as profit, and as a stop loss, I would say maybe somewhere here, not directly below this. I'm putting this below this week to include this level. This is something I do often, and turns out usually a good idea. Another possibility would be to place this within the range, so above the end of this week, so you don't suffer from the slippage in terms of in case you're trading with leverage on Binance or some other exchange. So yeah, this is the idea. This is how I find a setup based on cloudy and price action. Now, what we can do to confirm this idea that this is a good setup, I'm going to use. First of all, I'm going to use my algo indicator, and you can get the MTF version of this for free. It's in the public library actually, so you just have to type in FireflyTA, and you get some of my indicators, and you get the algo score MTF. This is currently uploaded. The LTF will be available for supporters, and this one tells us if we can, if bulls do have some strength in order to make this bounce at this level. So it tells us about the technical strength. And this looks quite good, actually. As you can see, the score is pretty high compared to the means here. It has a score of, right now, 3.5. This is rather bullish, as you can see. This is a bullish score. It doesn't mean price will go up, by the way. This doesn't mean price will go up. It means bulls have the possibility, they have the opportunity to drive price higher because they need fuel, and this is fuel. This is your gas tank that you're going long distances with. So the higher the score, the better the possibilities and opportunities for bulls to drive price higher. Now the settings are not optimized. Usually I'm going to use, for the LTF version, I don't use Bollinger Bands, I don't use FIB retracements, and I don't use custom levels. This changes the picture quite a bit. Here you can see it's actually flashing green right now, so it is going up, so it could bounce higher here, but I'm not too sure if it can achieve this kind of move. It's possible, but I don't know. And so this actually supports this idea. So if we go below here, we will have a very bullish score. This is a good sign. So this is the fourth aspect, technical strength. And the next thing I'm going to look at is market flow. And for this, I'm using my two indicators, oscillator and overlay. Both are free on TradingView as well, so you just have to add them to your charts. And they are explained in the Thank You Gift video on YouTube. Yeah, this is there's an in-depth explanation on how these work. So with this one, let me change the appearance a bit. This one tells us if we have bullish or bearish gravity to the means. Right now we have slight bullish gravity. This is a good sign that there is no force pressing price down heavily here. We had this over here and it went down. We had this over here and it went down. But as you can see, now we're in the greens again. This is a good sign. And the second thing I'm going to look at is this overlay indicator. And for this one, I'm going to deactivate HTF and ULTF. For the 30 minutes, I'm going to use LTF because this is on the lower time frames, and the MTF also makes sense. And then I'm going to use LTF mode on the current chart and show the center of gravity. So now, yeah, these are the center of gravities for lower and medium time frames. As you can see, price is trying to get above them, but is currently failing. But as long as price is below these bands, it is being dragged to the upside. What we don't want to see is a sharp rejection of these, and this might imply continuation to the downside. But as long as it is holding directly below these, it's actually quite possible price will get above, confirm support, and go higher. This is something that we see often. In this case, we had a sharp rejection. We don't want to see this happen here. Otherwise, we have to expect a full-fledged downtrend. So these bands actually support our idea as well because we are below, so we have upside potential. And on the other hand, if we go back down here and retrace to here and bounce here, this is still in range. It's not a sharp rejection yet. But if we lose this level, I think it's over, and we might see continuation to the downside because we have deviated too far from the center of gravities. And as the name implies, a center of gravity has some gravity effect, so that it's pulling price back to it. If it's not strong enough and the downside trend is too strong and is acting against the gravity, the bullish gravity, it's a bearish sign. So we want to see price stay in the vicinity to these bands. This is a good sign. Okay, so we do have some support. You can use whatever indicator you want to confirm your ideas. As you can see, I'm using a lot of them, especially when I want to take trades that maybe spans 10% of price action with a risk reward of 4.27, which is quite good. Yeah, I'm being more careful here just to show you what you can do. Of course, I must admit, most setups are not developed this in such a sophisticated manner. I'm more pragmatic actually, and I don't like to overanalyze stuff. This might sound weird coming from me, who's doing all this analysis stuff and indicators and such, but yeah, I'm actually not the type to do over-analysis, but I like to have confidence before I enter trades. So for this idea to play out, I want to see things match up, and we do have this here. So it's a possible scenario. But let's start looking at something different. But for now, let me add this market flow gravity. Okay, so this is the checklist that I have applied to this scenario. But now let's look at some other possibilities on how to find setups. Maybe in this range, you can see we are establishing this kind of sideways range, although it's a very broad sideways range, very volatile and aggressive trends taking place. These swings certainly have power. And you see that price is grinding into these clouds a little bit. You have to expect this to happen. When the trend, we have a strong uptrend, retracement, another leg, or attempt to do another leg. So you have to expect this resistance zone to be pushed up. And in this case, I would suggest to wait for these clouds to appear, to give you confirmation that resistance has become very strong by now. And you want to see weakness in price action, like so. This is the confirmation that bears are taking over. So then you have the chance to play into this downtrend. This is nothing to expect major support from, but this is. So you can ladder into long down here, take profits on your shorts, play this up to resistance again. Your short orders are collected, long profits are taken, and we go back down. Now short profits are taken here. Maybe your long is collected if you have orders here. But now you see that price is closing within the clouds. So at this point, this is a warning sign. I would get out of the long directly with a tiny loss. You can see this parabolic move down. This is a warning sign. And then you see this downtrend unfolding. Let it play out. Let support gather down here. As you can see, it's becoming, from the steep angle, it's becoming a little bit more well-rounded bottom here. And you can see that price is finding support on the top of the clouds while the downside momentum is running out. And this is the confirmation that we are now in the position to bounce or at least go sideways. And this is where Cloudy once again shines. You see the resistance up here forming weakness here, perfect opportunity to enter shorts. You see the support down here making some kind of bottom over here. It could have made this one. It didn't do this. So maybe you just have one order collected instead of three. I don't know. I would personally always try to ladder into trades. But if you are more the type to place one single order, I would place the order at the clouds and not above, because this would increase the risk by a lot. Here you can see this bounce into this strong resistance territory. I would take profits here. And I would probably close the long position entirely because this resistance is simply too strong. And the trend is sideways, so down sideways here. So I don't expect this to break. Instead, I'm starting to look to short this, and maybe I would have entered here, added here, and then we go down. We find support here already, so I would probably go out of my shorts early, but not long this. This is too close. So this is something I would not use to enter longs, because we have a gap of 3.5%. This is not enough for me to take the risk. If the clouds are down here, perfect. This is a nice range, but this is too close. This is more like a developing pressure zone, and we can expect sideways, and this is what happens here. And then we have this grinding price action. Sure, the long would have worked out, but we have strong resistance over here, so it would have been closed here already. Not much profit to gain here. So yeah, let me see if I can give you some more examples of proper setups together with these indicators. Here you can see the support range is being violated quite a bit. We see this sharp rejection at this super strong resistance, and it's actually crap lagging down here, but it's forming this falling wedge structure. We have a bullish score, we have bullish gravity, we are at support, it's still holding, we are at or below the center of gravities. So all my criteria are met, all the requirements are met to enter longs in this area. This is the area where I would enter longs, simply because all the criteria I've just explained, they match. You see bullish price action, because this is, it's not bullish price action, but this is a little less bearish price action with this development here. This is an accumulation pattern, falling wedge, into support with a bullish score, bullish gravity, bullish mean reversion opportunities here, far away from resistance. And the trend is overall still up. It's still up. So yes, it is possible to expect continuation from this point. It could have spiked lower and capitulated here, and then V-shaped back up. These things happen. Then you get stopped out, of course. It happens. But we trade the chart and not all the 1 billion different scenarios that could occur, could play out. Yeah, what I'm seeing on the chart is this cloudy support has held for the entire time. Despite this bearish close below, it still held price action within the range and within the range. So once the clouds start going more sideways, they become stronger because momentum is running out. So when they didn't break here, they won't probably break here as well. This is how I read this cloudy situation. And we have extreme support, the teal color here. If you can see this, the teal and yellow ones. This is also very important. So you can see with this bounce, we have a large move, similar move, and then a tiny move that is probably produces bullish divergence with this kind of structure, and into support, bullish score, bullish gravity, perfect opportunity to long this into the resistance area. This is the resistance area, taking profits, distribution, one major wick up into resistance with rejection, perfect opportunity to add or enter short positions. And then our target is once again here. So why enter short here? You see we have bearish gravity. This is a good sign. We have a neutral score. Better would be to have this kind of score, a red one, but we have a neutral one. It's okay. For low risk short, it's okay. You can place your stop loss maybe above this purple thing here. Yeah. And then we have this Bouncerino on support, confirmation of support. And look at this. We have a bullish score. We have bullish gravity. Perfect opportunity to enter long and take profits at resistance. And this is not no trade zone. This is absolute no trade zone over here. You could ladder into shorts here at this resistance. This is possible. But down here, there's nothing to trade, nothing to long. No support, no bullish gravity, nothing. and then take profit on the shorts at support here. You can see these kind of streams, these single mini clouds joining together. This is the sign that it's time to take profits. We also have bullish score, and finally some bullish gravity. So you should be out of your short, and you can enter longs here. This is a little bit more difficult to see, this one, simply because these clouds are not visible over here. They become visible after the bounce, when it's too late. This is a little bit more difficult. This is also basically, you could skip this one. This is not something that you should necessarily enter a long position. You could wait for these to spawn, and then you can see the retest here. This would be probably a better entry that is safer, or although the score is neutral, and we have bearish gravity again. So there's nothing. I would skip this. This is not a good setup over here. It's possible to trade, but not perfect. And then we have this approaching red and purple resistance with a bearish score, bearish gravity at the swing highs, the range highs. Guess what happens? Into support. You could have played this, but then you have this sharp sell-off. So when you have your stop loss in profit over here, yeah, it would have get stopped out, and then you have this capitulation candle. This is something you should have seen. You could have seen in advance, because this bounce got sold off in a V shape, in an inverse V shape, and this is a sign that we will go lower. This is too strong of a rejection for this support to hold. So this shouldn't have make you lose any money. And then you let it run out. The momentum, you see support is forming down here. We have bullish gravity down here, but the score is not as good. So it's okay to not trade this. You can trade this with low risk, but you don't necessarily have to. And you don't have to trade this either here. This is you can trade this when you think we're on a downtrend. We are here in a downtrend, and you trust the downtrend, and you see the resistance, and you see the rejection of the resistance. You can enter shorts. Yes, it's possible. It's possible. You don't necessarily have to have a super bearish score, but you have bearish gravity. So yeah, these are some ideas how to trade. This is basically one of my strategies. This is a very successful strategy, a very safe strategy when you know how to read the price action. This is the requirement. You need to be able to read price action. You need to see the patterns. You need to know what these patterns mean. You need to know where the swing highs and lows are. You need to draw levels and trend lines. You need to see the candlestick formations. An example, if you see a bearish engulfing candle at a resistance cloud, you know what to do. Certainly not long into this. Yeah, this is an impression on how you can approach this. All these indicators are free. The exception is this algo. You can use the MTF version. The MTF version works on charts 90 minutes and higher, preferably 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And you can actually get some really nice swing trades this way. Yeah, most of my indicators are free, so you can try out the strategy yourself. Of course, this doesn't resonate with everyone. It's a very specific way. Very, yeah, it might seem strange to some, but it's working. As traders, we want to make money. So we have to find a method that works. And if you find a method that works, you're not asking questions. Be happy that you have a question, that you have a method that actually makes you money. It's not easy to reach this level. So yeah, it might look strange, but if it works, and you can use your own indicators. You don't have to use mine. You can use your own. You could use different ones. You can come up with a completely different strategy and indicator composition around Cloudy. You can change the settings completely. You can come up with so many things, try things out, backtest it, find the best approach to your trading style, and it's certainly possible. Okay, one final thing I'm going to show you is, let me get rid of this. I'm now going to the 5-second chart. This is Bitcoin on the 5-second chart right at this moment. And Cloudy is now trying to calculate the dynamic supported resistance for this time frame, for the second time frame. As you can see, it looks strange. This is because the tolerance is too high. So what I'm going to do is to make this actually very low. But this is probably still too high. This is actually pretty funny. Yeah, this is almost there. Let me take 4 or 5. So this is not to show you that you can trade the 5-second chart. I would not recommend doing this unless you're absolutely professional in what you're doing. But it is to show you that Cloudy even works on this kind of time frame. You can see that the resistance zones, the support zones. Look, you can trade this stuff even on the 5-second chart with Cloudy. This is fascinating. Sure, you have this grind down, yes. You can see the weakness in advance here. When you're in a long here, you could have closed it here and entered back here. Of course, it doesn't make any sense because of the fees. But this would probably be quite some thing for high-frequency trading. But yeah. So here you can see the range becomes more stable. We're at resistance right now. It could push through. It's not as strong here. But if it comes back down, it finds support here. Very nice range. Yeah. You could even do it like this. Paper trading. Get a feeling for how Cloudy works by paper trading the lower time frames. You can also take the 1-minute chart. And then you see what happens. How Cloudy reacts. So you could place a buy order here and you place your stop loss below the clouds. Of course, on the 5-second chart, you could simply see a move like this. Vertical. Oh, look. Almost got the entry. Here, as you can see how precise these clouds react, or the price reacts to these clouds. Now you see this, of course, on the 5-second chart, the price action simply can move through these clouds because it's not nearly as reliable as on the lower and medium time frames. But it still has an effect. And it's very interesting to see how what Bollinger Bands do to markets. And you see we have Bollinger Band confluence in this region, and it is super accurate in looking at price action. What's happening there. So now you can see prices grinding into this support, but it's not breaking it yet. What we want to look at is some kind of bounce and then maybe sideways. And horizontal Cloudy support. This is something we can look for. This is not the time to do this. This is very weak. Now this could be a chance. As you can see, this could become more stable now, and support has some time to catch up with price. And what we want to see now is a confirmation of support. Of course, it could simply go higher from here. But in the best case, you see a move down and a bounce off the top of the support range. This is the same mechanic for all time frames. So like this. Okay, a little bit lower now. Yeah, it's finding support here already, as you can see, a little bit above these zones already. This is because of the tolerance settings, of course. So Yeah, it's very interesting, funny to watch, actually. Now after this double top structure here, I wouldn't place my long order here, simply because this looks more bearish now. But yeah, this at this point, if you see something like this on the higher time frames, you see a grind, then you see something like this. This is weak. This is weak. So you have to expect another leg down at this point. Yes, it could go up, especially on the 5-second chart. Everything is possible here. However, in most cases, this resolves to the downside on the higher time frames, because this is simply too weak. These sell-offs are too strong, and at some point it breaks down. I wouldn't long Cloudy in this case. This is not something that I would do. Yeah, as you can see, this is very interesting. There is certainly some meaning to this, and if you observe this, you can learn a lot about how Cloudy actually works and how price action works in the context of dynamic support and resistance. Yeah. Look, this support is now becoming stronger. It's turning yellow. Let me place a buy order here, just for fun. Please don't trade the 5-second chart with real money. This is suicide, especially on an exchange with the leverage and margin trading. The liquidations will drive price through support and resistance all the time, so it's actually not really possible to trade this in a reliable way. But paper trading is possible. Okay, support is now... Look, the support is actually scattering around in this area. So this confluence zone over here is dissolved now. It's not as strong anymore, but it's now covering a broader range. This is something that can also happen. Let me place this long order over here, because we are entering a pressure zone, as you can see. The resistance is coming down, and the support is coming up. We are in a downtrend, so this could resolve to the downside. However, support is turning up more aggressively here, so maybe bulls can make this bounce. This is a nice reaction. So we can actually place our stop loss into these clouds directly. Very low risk. So if we see a bounce and it gets rejected, it's obviously support is not that strong as expected, because we want to see a bullish reaction at the top of the clouds already. If it doesn't come, it's a warning sign. So I'm going to minimize my risk by putting the stop loss very low below the entry, but about also below the some of the area borders here. But as you can see, it's grinding into support now, so this will probably lead into this expected downtrend, simply because the trend is down. And yeah, now we have yellow support. This could still work out. This yellow support is stronger. As you can see, we have a stronger reaction. There's more confluence there. This is something that you have to keep an eye on. This, if you see yellow and teal, aqua-colored support, or purple and red-colored resistance, there's a meaning to this. Yeah, as you can see, it's kind of working, but of course not really tradable on the 5-second chart. But it's still, as you can see from these charts, it still makes sense. It gives you a channel. The dynamic support and resistance is valid on all time frames. Very, very interesting stuff. If you really want to get into trading with this concept, you have to learn over time. This simply takes time, but once you get the gist of it, it has the potential to become one of your strongest skills. There are very, 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 very few traders who are able to trade with this method, simply because it's something that isn't being taught in trading courses. It's not taught in books. This is something that is only very few have the ability to even understand what dynamic support and resistance is in markets, simply because they don't care, or they simply learn by books. And if you focus on existing material, you're not being innovative. And this is an innovative concept. This is it's been around for all eternity, but the first to really describe this stuff was John Bollinger, and yeah, this is the foundation for a lot of things. So it's more powerful than you might think. It tells you so much about why price is moving like it is moving. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. You can do fancy stuff with this dynamic support and resistance. Cloudy is just my attempt to make this a tradable indicator that actually looks good and is a perfect addition to already existing indicators and your price action analysis. So it is meant to simplify the concept in a way that it becomes easily tradable, well, not easily tradable, but easier than it would be if you wouldn't have this confluence zones. Because let me show you one thing, just to make perfectly clear what we're talking about here and what the difference between Cloudy and generic dynamic support and resistance is. I'm going to show you something really terrifying. So this is something that this is the foundation for what I've been using to develop Cloudy. These charts show you what dynamic support and resistance and market flow actually is. It's not easy on your eyes. It could hurt a bit looking at all these colors. But this is what I've been using for my scientific work. These are multiple time frames on Bitcoin: 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, 6 hour, 8 hour. And as you can see, these are all entities, support and resistance entities of different strength. I've colored them differently based on their strength and on different time frames. So most of them are Bollinger Bands, but not all of them. There's more to dynamic support and resistance than just Bollinger Bands. But now let me show you something. Can you see this and this and this? Can you see this? Or this? It might look weird and completely, out of proportions to use this many lines on a chart. But I'm using this to do meta-analysis, and this means I'm looking at patterns within a huge number of different entities that show me data, visualize data. So look at this. The teal bands are very strong, and here you can see the yellow bands are also very strong. And here we have this cluster of teal and yellow bands, and it's actually acting as very strong support. We have a similar occurrence here. We have a cluster of teal bands. We have a cluster of strong bands down here, and it's acting as support and resistance. So these things actually work. Look at this. This is a stream of very strong bands, and price is coming back to make a bottom here and going higher. This is fascinating to watch. It's actually working. And what I've been doing is to look at all the different bands with their values, what they represent, to see why these structures actually hold price up. What is the common denominator that makes them powerful? And I've noticed that certain Fibonacci values in the standard deviation, factors, as well as time frame combinations, result in confluence and reliability. And I've picked all of these strong bands, isolated them, and Cloudy is looking at all of them and pointing out where the support and resistance zones are that we have to look at. on all time frames. This is what Cloudy is. So what you can see here is just the raw material that Cloudy is working with. And this is how innovative this concept is. It's completely new in TA. Nobody else, I've never met anybody else who's using this technique and who can actually make it an indicator. So if you're using Cloudy, you can be proud because you're one of the very few who have access to this new concept and method. But it requires some understanding, as I explained in the previous sessions. So yeah, if you really want to get into this, it's certainly worth it. I can testify because I've been trading for years with this concept, and now I want to share what I know, what I've experienced, because it's simply that cool. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video probably, because the series is not yet over. Bye-bye.